Hey YouTube, for some clickbait, what's in the bag? What's in the bag? I don't think I've done this one before. I think what I'll probably do is I'll probably put the type of guitar it is on the... I'll do what Justin Hawkins does and I'll change the title of it, of the video, once everyone's seen it, tomorrow or something like that. So in here we have... This is a brand spanking new, or 2022, so still brand new, SG Standard in TV yellow, which, to be fair, kind of looks sort of more yellow on the screen. Mind you, it's quite a blue day today, isn't it? Why am I looking quite blue? But, yeah, so TV yellow is not really the colour that I thought it was. It's... See, it kind of looks... I don't know, it looks kind of green to me. I've not... need to find a strap to put on that so I can play it. I'll play sitting down. So, good old Rotosound squeaky strap. And the squeakiness of the strap doesn't seem to depend on how expensive the guitar is. It doesn't seem to care. Some guitars squeak, some don't. Depends how polished they are, I think. I don't know if this is going to be a bad one or not. Buy a premium Gibson SG and squeaky strap. No squeak at all. Yeah, I've not even tuned this up. Or played it at all. I literally had a look at it. This is my pal, he's up here. Look at my new Christmas present. So, that he bought for himself. So this is a... I've got another couple of guitars off this dude as well. So this will be Expensive Guitar Wednesday. These are very geared tuners. The SG's a wee bit lower than that. Yeah, I'm sorry, because this is an expensive guitar, make sure my belt buckle's not going to touch it. I should probably actually have done this as a comparison. Mind you, I'd have to put strings on my SG, wouldn't I? This is an end of one of your end of line things. My pal likes buying these guitars. Gets them for good prices though. I think it might even be an Andertons one. When like Gibson or anybody does like a classic guitar and they put it out in not cherry, well, for example, an SG, but that's not cherry red or black. So it ends up going in a clearance. I think he said it was like £300 or £400 off or something like that. Something silly because people don't want one that's different. I don't want one. I'm not unique. I don't want a TV yellow. TV yellow I've always thought looked cool. It is kind of blown me. It's got a sort of maybe I don't know. It's kind of mustardy looking in the screen. Maybe it's because I'm wearing all blue, but in actual person, or depending on what the light's like. To be honest, it's looking more yellow than it today in daylight than it was under the artificial horrible lighting. So that's what a Grover tuners, I'd imagine. Yes, Grover made in USA. It's TV yellow all the way around. I just noticed the wee things. This switch seems shorter than normal. I wonder if the actual switch is shorter or whether it's just the wee, the plastic cap on it's not as long, or maybe I'm just imagining it. Maybe I'm thinking of another guitar. Maybe it's just because I was looking at the, what do you call it, the corker earlier on, my pals. But yeah, I'm thinking that freeway switch. I was like, put it in my Epiphone Les Paul, and it was like, yeah, because the switch is bigger. The actual back of the switch when you go inside, it looks the same from the top, but from the back, it's kind of bigger than the hole on the back of a Les Paul to put it in. So you'd have to enlarge. It'd be up here on a Les Paul. You'd have to enlarge that, and then I was looking at it, and it's like not horrendously fun to wire these things. Although to be fair, I did actually work out how the switch worked and wired it to my own spec, so I kind of know how to do that. I have obviously on the corker there, the freeway switch was it was wired up funny. Not the way I wanted it. I don't know, maybe somebody thought it was a good idea, but what, you don't get single coil sounds? What? That seemed insane to me. So this won't have anything on it, any push-pulley things. So this has the four... See, the thing is that 496, 498, something like that. Gibson pickups. Apparently this is quite unusual for it. This has got the same pickup, and it's got a 4... You'd have to look it up. Whatever it is, 2022 Gibson SG Standard. I think it's 496. I think my SG Special from the 80s or the 90s has 498s, I think. So it might be two 498s in it that are both the same pickup. When I say the same pickup, I don't mean the rhythm and the treble one are the same, but they're both the same model. This is a 496 or 8, whatever one it is, treble. This will be a... And the first thing I noticed actually when I took it out of the box, which I'm just about to adjust right now, is actually see if you even slightly lean on the string, it touches the top of the pickup. So I'm going to have to lower it a little bit, just so I don't hit the strings off it when I'm playing it. Just a bit, just to get it a bit. And same with this one. Some people have a very light touch. I'm not. I'm a bass player, you know, play the bass like I'm a barbarian. Sorry, maybe is it just me that takes a brand new £1,000, £1,500? Even with the with a few £100 off, I think it's still 1,500 odd quid. Yeah, take it home. First thing you do, adjust it. Whatever. These are the things I would be doing anyway. I mean, that's like my pal gives me a shot of some very expensive guitars sometimes, and I think he just kind of knows that I can't help, but it's not quite right. That sounds good. Yeah, so I mean, what do you say about SG? This is the thinner feeling SG. There's two SGs, right? There's more than that, but two Gibson ones that I'm aware of. And the big difference for me is, see this bit here? The pointy bit? That's very thin there, right? Whereas on, actually, the last SG I had myself, the Tribute one, was like this, where it gets thinner. Whereas my Red Special, the actual guitar is the same. It's just that, see, with this horn, it doesn't go as thin as that. It's maybe 1.5. It's maybe, you know, probably only 5mm wider, but the whole guitar feels thicker because the bit that you see when you're looking down at it, as in there, is wider. So it just that this is more pointy than a. So I think that might be a 62 or something. I can't remember exactly how it works. But this has got a lot of people don't like it. I always like the Batwing scratch plate, and again there's this one's not as this design isn't as bad as the normal ones. It's like that Tribute one I had 24 frets, and it just seems, I totally get not putting 24 frets in, because if you look at, like, you know, something like, okay, this isn't humbuckers, but you know what I mean, on a Les Paul the pickup is butted right up against the end of the 22 fret board, so in order to put 24 frets on a Les Paul you have to move the pickup. And that does actually, it changes it, even though you're only moving it half an inch, it does change the sound of it. Whereas on an SG, there's a gap. So why not just make the fretboard go to there? And the answer to that is because people won't like it, because the original SGs didn't have that. But Gibson actually told Tony Iommi that you couldn't make a 24 fret SG. So that's why he got, instead of using his Gibson one, he wanted a 24 fret one, and he got his pal, who apparently just died, John Diggins, to build it from John Birch Guitars. John Diggins was one of the guys that worked at Thingy. Actually, I was talking to a guy up in Dundee, used to work for them. John Diggins built them, and John Birch was more. But I think he did the actual more of the actual donkey work, if you want to put it, actually building the guitars, and John Birch was a bit more businessy orientated, but I think they both did a bit of both. So it just seems strange, but I mean, again, it's just because you've got to keep it vintage correct, don't you? So I would just always want the extra 2 frets on this guitar, and on my one actually with the batwing scratch plate. That's fine, but see on like a normal one SG standard that's got the half side scratch plate, there's just a wee bit of plastic just screwed on with 2 screws in there to fill the gap between where the neck ends. So SG should be 24 fret. It doesn't seem to be any point. Not that I ever play up that high. You can get SGs are good for high fret access. I can get talking about if you're trying to play the last fret in a Strat on this, it's equivalent of trying to play actually over the pickup for access wise. So let's see what it sounds like. Using my orange TH30. I'll not be clean for very long. 10s on this, I think. And maybe afford myself a little bit more volume. Neck. Both. We actually play a proper Gibson standard. It's got the fret nibs, so see that the binding's not just flat. Normally you just got like normal fret ends, which is the same on any of the ones I've got with binding. But on a Gibson, they put like I know you can't hear me when I come up to the thing. So I'll stop talking when I show you the nib bits. Yeah, see? So there's like how they do it, I don't know. I'd imagine they must put the frets in first, and then they put when the binding goes on, it's got like a wee bit that goes which just makes it a smoother edge to it. Also means you can kind of tell when a Gibson's been refretted, because obviously the nib bits have to go, because you have to take the frets out to put the new ones on. So what they do is they would take the frets out, and then you just sand that smooth. So we've got a rosewood fingerboard. Obviously, I mean this is a premium guitar. I'm not sure I've seen. I don't think they normally have. Let's just get an Allen key in the top bit. A lot of people can zap your that's a Chibson, because it's got like a screw in it. Again, I don't have any guitars kicking about that've got one on it, but normally on the top here, so you get the thumb wheel for adjusting the height. But there's also like a flathead screw on the top, and Gibsons don't have that. This one has, instead of having the flathead, it's got like a wee Allen key in it, whereas the normal ones, I would normally say, it's a more expensive one, has it's just, you can't, there's nothing, it's just like a domed wee bit that pokes through. So it's not actually the bridge necessarily that's different, it's more just the actual post that it's sitting on. But not that I've played an awful lot of SG standards, I'll have to be honest. But I still think there's still something in me that says SG is the best looking guitar. That was always the one I wanted. Partly the Black Sabbath thing. Yep, so I choose one that's played in a John Diggins, not an SG. What is that? What are the chances the drums are going to be right for that? I've changed something. Never try to adjust things when you're already started. Let's just not bother with the drums. to check something. I was saying there that I think there's a no, I'm sure there's a treble and a rhythm version of Gibson pickups. Just that the bridge pickup doesn't seem to be very loud compared to the neck pickup. Whereas if they were both the same pickup, that's what you would expect to happen, because here the string's moving more, because it's like, you know, it's obviously the string's pinned at the bridge and it's pinned whenever you're holding it. So the closer you are in the middle, the more it moves. You know, if you get close to the bridge, the string's not really vibrating as much, therefore not as loud. So that's why you would normally have a much more powerful pickup in the bridge than you would in the neck. So I'm just measuring the pole pieces to see if they're the same. I don't think they are. So 50mm for the neck, and it'll be 52 for the bridge. So it is definitely a bridge and neck pickup set. It just doesn't seem very. I don't know. I suppose it's part of the sound. I mean, this is a Gibson after all. But again, this is where it comes into. There's a thing which some of the Japanese guitars do. That one does it. See the pickup. See, instead of having 2 holes holding it on, it's got 3. So there's an extra. There's 2 screws here. You can't see because it's black. So you get 2 screws on this side and 1 on that side. That means that, see, if you tighten up this screw, the pickup does this and that, so you can have it in line with the strings perfectly. Yeah, you can see it sitting parallel with the strings. That probably makes more difference than what kind of wood the guitar's made of. But on this one, if you look at it, the pickup is exactly in line with the guitar because it's square and it's only held in with 2 screws. So the pickup's like that. So basically you're talking about the string practically touching here and then being half an inch off here. Same with the neck pickup. And I was talking to a luthier in America about this, and apparently it's just cost. And it's like, I just feel, but again, it's the vintage thing, isn't it? You know, you bring out a TV yellow one, which I would go, that's the one I would choose. I mean, if last year you'd offered me something from an SG Standard and I had a choice of colours, it would have been a TV yellow one. I wouldn't have bought the black one or the cherry red one, but that's not the vintage correct one. But I suppose there's an element of people wanting to try and keep it for collectability, again, for selling on or just being worth more money, because, whereas for me it'd be worth more because it is TV yellow. I'd love a yellow SG. I actually was thoughts of me actually painting my SG yellow at some point. In fact, I was going to paint that tribute one yellow as well. So I don't really know. I don't know if that's why it just doesn't seem as loud. It does now. Maybe I didn't have the volume up at full. Yeah, scratch that. Yeah, the volume was turned down. So see, if you're having a difficulty with volume between the 2 pickups, make sure the volume, when you've got 2 volume controls, is both up at full. One day I'll be able to play that properly. I think you're meant to pick every note. It's very difficult. Really, I mean, it's been a while since I played mine, but I mean, this one, kind of like when I remember when I had my Vauxhall Astra, which is a car. I had it. Mine was in the estate version, and my pal Peg had the same year of car. His wasn't an estate though, and so we're both driving about in a very similar car. Part of mine was a bit more beat up and had done twice the mileage sort of thing. And one time I borrowed his car to drive to Edinburgh because my car was burst. And the difference between even though the two cars would have been almost the same new, the difference was unbelievable. Like, his steering was so much tighter. You know, it's like everything just worked so much better. This is like this compared to my SG. It's like, as soon as I play this, I just go, where's all the lumps? Because mine's, dents all over the back of it and stuff like that, and it's just kind of, well, the strings on it are ancient, but it's definitely better than my SG. Which it should be, being brand spanking new, it just feels new. Etc. Yeah, there's no shortage of things to play in an SG. Actually, to be honest, I need to dig my SG out again. This is a similar sort of revelation when I got that tribute one last year, where it was kind of like the SG. If you'd asked me when it was like, I don't know, up until I got the Schecter Telly, really, it was like what guitar. Or even when you're talking about when I first knew anything about guitar before I even started playing SG, that's and there's part of that in me, definitely. That's kind of bizarre, I don't have any other SGs. Well, I've got my original Epiphone one, which I just didn't sell because it was my first guitar, my first real guitar, and I've got then a few years later, once I could play Warpigs, I treated myself to actually buying a Gibson one, but I've never really bought any other ones apart from that one last year, the Tribute, because it was cheap. But that got me that orange amp, so I'm quite happy with that, so I'm kind of... The SG had to go, but the orange amp arrived instead. But I mean, it's very difficult to fault it, to be honest. It is what it is. I mean, my fault list lies with intentional things. It's not, the fact it doesn't have the 24 frets. It's done for a reason, because people are stupid and don't want a 24 fret one, so it wouldn't be worth as much money. Even though you can just ignore them, I just think it looks better. And again, here's the thing about having the two screws in the pickups, which nobody does anyway. The Japanese did it in the 70s. I mean, even that's got it. The Raven has that, and that was the cheapest. That wasn't an expensive guitar in its day. It still had the two things. I can't believe that it makes it. It's definitely because people wouldn't like it, because that's not what I've seen a picture of Angus Young and his doesn't have two screws on it. I can't have that. Because of the actual difference about making the base plate, a bit wider, and then putting an extra screw and an extra spring in it. That can't be a prohibitively expensive thing in a thousands of pounds guitar. I mean, even if you look at it, if you were building one guitar, it's going to cost you an extra 50 pence. If you're building hundreds of them, it's going to cost you, a penny per guitar to do that. But there's people don't like it. You got to do, the customer's always right, I suppose. But it's lovely. I'm struggling a little bit with it just because it's so new. Not only is it so expensive. Expensive is kind of makes me a little bit scared as well. You notice I'm not taking my hands off the guitar. Not that I think it's not going to fall off the strap, but I don't want it to. I'm not putting the first dent in this guitar, but also the fact that it's absolutely mint. Again, checking, make sure I don't have a belt buckle on. Don't damage it. But I mean the frets are all perfect. It's like there's absolutely nothing playing wise that I can even point to on this. It's just it is perfect, which to be honest it should be for that kind of money. I think I know that things like that tribute one there, the cheaper ones, what you know, the reasons that some of the reasons that are cheaper is because they don't do the frets really, and they don't do the finish. I mean, the finish is gorgeous on it as well. You know, it's like that's a lot of the money in these things. You know, I mean, you can sit there and my argument would be, oh, that's just that is the same as a real Les Paul, because it is, and in many ways it is. But so at one point that a real Les Paul was like that, but then they spent obviously a lot of time sanding it and getting the finish perfect and doing the frets and just making everything, doing all those wee annoying things which don't necessarily make it worth more money, probably because people only buy things from pictures. But no, it's love it. Love it. It doesn't have, you know what an SG doesn't have, like it has other guitars have for me, where it's like pure, oh, it's a flying V, so I'm playing Accept on it, you know, playing Balls to the Wall. An SG is like pure, oh, I'm an SG, so I'll play anything. SGs were always I think my favourite looking guitar, especially considering when it's from. You know, just like, well, for me it was like Pete Townsend, Isle of Wight, Robbie Krieger, George Harrison, you know, when they're doing a Paperback Writer, Tony Iommi, obviously, Mike Oldfield. So many of my favourite people seem to play SGs, and I like the fact that it does have I wonder what the neck angle is compared to a Les Paul. The thing is, I was complaining before about how you can't, you know, you have to hold a Les Paul like that. For some reason, an SG doesn't seem to be the same. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because it's not as thick. I don't know. But I was talking there earlier on about this bit here being thinner, being the whole guitar seeming thin, like that tribute one I had. I totally measured it. It's exactly the same thickness as my SG. It's just because on my one, being a whatever it was, I don't know. This is probably more accurate. By that being wider there, you know, not going to as much of a point on this plane, the whole guitar feels thicker, but it's exactly the same thickness everywhere else. It's just that one point, and probably that point there as well. It just goes more pointy. Yeah, so there we go. I've got another couple in the very expensive. My pal likes his expensive guitars. It's very nice, but again, the TV yellow is not the colour I thought it was. It was a TV yellow, but what anyone didn't know is it's so that it looked better on TV, hence TV yellow. Because I think white guitars on a black and white screen kind of was too bright, and the lighting didn't suit it, and there was problems where if you made it this colour, it would show up as white in TV and it would look perfect on black and white TV. But I always liked the colour. I just always thought it was yellower than that. It's not so much yellow as it is kind of just wood colour. For whatever kind of wood it is. Mahogany, I would totally imagine. And possibly, no, I would say two-piece. A two-piece mahogany body. I think there seems to be a stripe there. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty much... I'm going to say it's immaculate because it's new, but just because it's immaculate doesn't mean it's new. It's just like, it's just properly built. So that was it. I remember watching a couple of weeks ago Andertons. I always talk about them. I should get a plug off Andertons. Lee, send me some guitars. Invite me on your show. I'll show you a guitar with 10 pickups in it. And they were saying it's like, felt that Gibson were making mistakes by building the cheaper models, which I do sort of understand, you know, like the more basic ones, like things like that tribute and, you know, stuff like that where you get it and it's I don't think they do it just now the same way they used to. At one point, I remember nearly buying one of those 50s tribute SGs, and it was only $399 new, which I couldn't believe. Gibson $399 new, I paid almost that for mine, 10 years before that, and mine was all bashed and dented. That was why it was cheap. It wasn't the same guitar because it's just had more. The fret ends were bad on it, and all these things. Also, it was an end of line thing. But I've got no problem with them. But I kind of see it. So you end up with a guitar like this, which, I mean, I'm always sitting there, saying, "Oh, my Japanese guitars are better." Well, they're not really better than this. And saying that, you could probably get half a dozen for the price of this. So, is an SG better than having, like a Strat, a Tele, an SG? But I need to try and find myself a An SG. I think one of the reasons I don't have a Japanese SG is because I've got a Gibson one, so why would I want another? I've got one. I kind of bought the right guitar first time. Well, I know a lot of people are just constantly hunting for their guitar. For me, it was like, yeah, SG. That's the one I wanted. And being Ferrari Red's a little bit different as well. Probably makes it worth not as much money. The way, they have to reduce the prices and these things. I suppose it just comes down to the reason they have to reduce the prices. It's just because it hasn't been sold. And if you're spending a couple of grand on a guitar, you don't want one from 2 years ago. No. I want a 23 one. Well, this is 22. So yeah, so made in 22, probably for the 23 model. It doesn't. They used to say on them, the serial number used to start with a digit at one point, and then below it would say 2013 model. Well, that one does, but it could say, the serial number could start 12, and then it would say 2013 model. So, because obviously they make, they want to be able to sell them in January, so they can't just sit there and wait until the 1st of January. Go, right now, start making the 2023 ones. Because it takes a couple of months for it to get through. So they'll build the last couple of months of the year, August, September, whatever like that, they'll start building the serial number for next year. So this one's now, this one last year you would have bought it, when it was new, it would have been a 22, but it's actually, it would be a 23 guitar, and then the ones you get now will say 24 on them, but they were built 6 months ago. Yes. No. Enough rabbiting on. There you go. Yes. So, I don't know. Maybe one day I'll have one. I don't know. I don't think so. No, to be honest, I've got my red one. And that's now got sentimental value to me. So if anything, I would get that, maybe refretted or something like that. Not that I think the frets are actually that knackered on it. Yes. No, very nice. And this is going back in the case. I'm not leaving this lying about in case I drop it or spill something on it. Something like that. Rock on. Catch y'all later.